crossed, everybody. We don't want another bad start like that one. 18 cars on the grid. There's Damon Hill. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Go, 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 go! Hakkinen leads away again. Irvine again comes up the left. Damon Hill has made an excellent start and leads! And leads! Damon Hill gets ahead of everybody at last source. Schumacher going round the outside.
Oh, and Hakkinen is
spinning Hakkinen. Schumacher hit Hakkinen. And Herbert has hit Hakkinen. Now, I can't believe they're not going to have to stop the race again.
They may. They've got 3 minutes to get that out of the way. And there's no spare car for Hakkinen. He'll have to take, even if they do stop it, he'll have to take, he's saying he's okay, but he'll have to take Coulthard's car back in that respect. But at the moment, no sign of the red flags as Michael Schumacher comes up the inside of Eddie Irvine.
And takes second place. So now the battle is on between Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher, but is the race going to be stopped? There is no indication of it on our monitors, and we normally get a very quick indication. Mika Hakkinen walks away. That's the World Championship lead.
When the track gets to this stage now, it's all shiny and glistening across the top as Eddie Irvine homes in on Frentzen. I think you can see a piece of Frentzen's wing missing, actually, if I'm not mistaken. No, I was mistaken. Just the camera angle there. But the track is covered in water, and it's impossible to tell when you're doing 170, 180 miles an hour just how deep is that water, and often you get a nasty surprise when you get there. That's the kind of visibility you've sometimes got sitting in the car itself.
This is the battle for 5th position. There is the man who is 6th, Eddie Irvine. He has clawed his way back after having stopped for a new nose cone, and he's now right up with almost Heinz-Harald Frentzen as they go through into their 23rd lap. Michael Schumacher diving through with Diniz, and they touching each other. My goodness, that was close. Schumacher backs off and keeps the distance between them. That could have taken Schumacher out of the race if they'd been 6 inches closer.
Well, that's the mentality of the man, but I'm a little bit surprised. He got a half-a-minute lead. That was a risk he did not need to take.
Yep, 30 seconds ahead of Damon Hill. The fastest lap we've had in these dreadful conditions. Michael Schumacher on lap 9, fairly early in the race. 2 minutes, 3.7 seconds. And that is 12 seconds off Alain Prost's all-time 1993 Williams lap record. It's an astounding lap time on in these conditions, and with aerodynamics now which are not nearly as efficient as they were when Alain Prost, who now of course is running his own team, was driving in 1993 for Williams. And Damon Hill is still keeping that Jordan in second place, and the battle for 5th and 6th. There it is. Eddie Irvine, Ferrari. Ahead of him, Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the sole remaining Williams. There are 11 out of the 18 cars that started the second time. 11 out of the 22 cars that started the first time. And Eddie Irvine can obviously get by, but will he be able to?
Well, he's clearly much faster. He's 2 or 3 tenths up on each section, but now he's got the problem of visibility, so he'll just have to follow in the wheel tracks and wait for a slow corner when the spray just fades away, and suddenly sometimes you even get off the brakes and back onto the throttle again because you're further away from the corner than you thought. Irvine, they're having to lift off. He can't actually see where he's going at that point. More often than not, you're using peripheral vision. Are they thinking about pulling him in? They're talking away on the Ferrari pit wall there. More often you're using peripheral vision and you're listening to the car in front.
Well, now this isn't a tyre superiority situation, Martin. They're both on Goodyear tyres. It's a car and driver superiority situation. And perhaps a better setup of the Ferrari driven by Irvine than the Williams driven by Frentzen. Although Eddie Irvine says, and I don't doubt his word, he says, I'm as good as anybody out there except Michael Schumacher, and nobody is as good as him.
Yes, remember also that Irvine's got Schumacher's spare car, so he's making a pretty good job of driving that. But now it's going to be tough to get past this Williams.
And we've got some news from James Allen.
Just adding to what you guys were saying actually there about the superiority of Michael and where it comes from. Is it the tyres, is it the driver? Martin said earlier in the race, look how good Michael is on the brakes. And standing here just on the entry to La Source corner, you can see that he's much later on the brakes into La Source than Damon Hill. He's making up about a second every time. Just on this early part of the lap, as Martin pointed out, he was 3 seconds faster on his outlap after his pit stop. And it's those things. It's the braking for the bus stop, it's the braking for La Source, and the way he's going through with the car. It's absolutely fantastic, and that's a big part of his advantage today. And
look at Irvine, he won't get through on the inside there, but he's certainly going to be bothering Frentzen. That's if Frentzen even knows he's there. As soon as you see all that spray, you see absolutely nothing in your mirrors. Irvine pulling out of the wheel tracks to get some kind of visibility. This is going to be interesting to watch. I think Irvine, if he gets a sniff, he will definitely have the ability to outbrake Frentzen into one of those bigger braking areas, into the bus stop or into La Source. But meanwhile, I think he's going to have to be just a little bit patient.
Gigantic encouragement for Ferrari. Eddie Irvine has just re-signed, of course, for the 1999 season. He's been on the podium 4 times already this season.
We can see Jean Todt walking down the pit lane, talking to the McLaren team, and that's why, because Michael Schumacher is trying to lap David Coulthard. Coulthard struggling around his McLaren, just not happy at all in these conditions for whatever reason. And we've seen the Ferrari team boss walking down the pit lane.
And let us not forget that David Coulthard in these appalling conditions. Oh, God! Michael Schumacher hits David Coulthard and is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Maybe he should have been a bit more circumspect about trying to pass him, but he is out. And Mika Hakkinen, in the nicest possible way, will be delighted. The World Championship situation is now the same as it was when the Belgian Grand Prix started, and Damon Hill is in the lead.
Yes, I think they probably just radioed to David to say, let him through, he's behind you, let him through. David lifts off, and Schumi doesn't realise and runs into the back of him. The 2 Jordans are first and second. Ralf Schumacher just 10 seconds. Look, David's pulled over to one side, lifted off, and Michael clearly couldn't see.
Well, what an incredible development. Michael Schumacher, with yet another Belgian Grand Prix, is driving his 3-wheel Ferrari home. Shows you how stiffly set up these cars are, and a bitterly disappointed Jean Todt leaves the pit wall.
And they're cruising back slowly back to the pits. That's a very dangerous situation. No way they'll fix that car, even if it will run on 3 wheels. Never in a month of Sundays they'll get any suspension on it. Look, Coulthard appears to lift. And look at the spray. No wonder Michael can't see anything. He just can't see and just runs into the back of David Coulthard.
A terrible reminder of Didier Pironi in the Ferrari, running into the back of Alain Prost in Hockenheim in practice and effectively finishing his career as Michael Schumacher drives out of the Belgian Grand Prix and David Coulthard comes into the pits, probably also to retire. But isn't it amazing that they can drive those cars on 3 wheels? But Michael Schumacher won't be the least bit interested in that technical fact. Angrily throws his steering wheel out of the cockpit with every good reason. You can understand his fury, because he's now effectively lost the chance of taking the World Championship lead. Now, what is he up to? He's storming down the pit lane, presumably to go. Look at him. He's saying, I'm going to the stewards. James, can you enlighten? He's going to Coulthard. He's going to have it out with David Coulthard. This is a bit like Nigel Mansell and Ayrton Senna at that Belgian Grand Prix, when Nigel got him by the throat. James, what's the news?
Unbelievable altercation, as you say. Jean Todt's there, he's dragged his driver away. Michael is absolutely furious. I just saw the car as I came in, absolutely destroyed the front suspension. He's walking past me now. He's ready, he's close to tears, guys. He really is. He cannot believe this race has gone away from him. Absolutely furious, Michael Schumacher. And I just wonder, I wonder whether Coulthard, really saw that he was there. He definitely backed off. It's a very strange incident, that.
Well, Michael Schumacher will undoubtedly be thinking the worst. It's the way people do think in these circumstances. His reaction will probably be, that was David Coulthard getting in my way to stop me taking the lead in the World Championship. I'm utterly sure that is not the case. David is not that sort of a chap. But anyway, whatever. Michael Schumacher is out. David Coulthard is out. Damon Hill, there he is in, leading the Belgian Grand Prix for the first time in a Jordan. He's leading the race for the first time since he led the Hungarian Grand Prix in an Arrows, apart from his earlier lead here, of course. And Ralf Schumacher is in second position. Jean Alesi, who is now in third place, is no challenge to either of them. He is 8 seconds, 9 seconds behind them, and lapping considerably slower. Damon Hill's last lap was... Hello, this is a replay. Just look at the anger. Michael Schumacher is normally a very laid-back, calm chap, but his dander is well and truly up now as he storms into the McLaren garage, and David Coulthard denies any responsibility, and out goes Eddie Irvine. 2 Ferraris out now, and the Ferrari mechanics can hardly believe their eyes. This is a fantastic Belgian Grand Prix.
It's 2 on corner, I believe. Irvine, obviously, I think he's going to run a little bit wide, touch that curb, look, and round it goes. Nothing he can do about that, and that's a very, very big gravel trap. He's a long way into it, and I think he's probably stalled the engine as well. There is a service road over there, look, but look, the back wheels have stopped, and the engine's dead. Irvine out of the race.
Now, you have to think of every possibility in the situation that Martin and I are in. They can stop this race at 3/4 distance, which is 33 laps, and give everybody full World Championship points. We're on lap 27 now. I'd see no reason why they should stop it, actually, because a lot of people are going off. But if it gets any worse, that may well happen. That is Mike Gascoigne in the middle, the new man on the technical side at Jordan. He's made a big contribution to the increased speed of these cars, which is in no way to decry what Gary Anderson did to get them to the position they were in the first place. And they're first and second. Alesi is now gaining, he's speeded up, and we're expecting Ralf Schumacher to come into the pits, as we are expecting Damon Hill, of course. Damon Hill came in on lap 16, and in that case I would expect him to come in round about lap 31 for his second stop, and that's 5 laps from now, and there's still a heck of a long way to go. Let me just run through the people who are still running in the race. On lap 27 out of 44, Damon Hill leads Ralf Schumacher, both Jordans by 14 seconds. Alesi is third, 9 seconds back. Frentzen is fourth.
Damon's missed the chicane. Damon going across the grass at the bus stop, no harm done. But at the moment, Ralph's a couple of seconds a lap faster. But you can see there, look, the inside wheel lock, and he had to go across the grass. If you go through the pit lane, you've got to go through very slowly. You lose a lot of extra time. I don't believe there'll be any damage done there. A bit of grass in the radiators, but engine temperature's not the problem at the moment.
Yeah, funnily enough, Damon did actually get caught. There's
second place man Ralph in for, I assume, what is a scheduled pit stop for Ralph on a 2-stop strategy.
Rather earlier than I expected him. I was running through the order. I got to Frentzen, who was fourth. Fisichella is fifth, and Pedro Diniz in the Arrows, a lap down, is in 6th place, and I do hope he stays there, because it would be some reward for the awful luck that Arrows have had, with Mika Salo going off at enormous velocity yesterday. They brought the test car here overnight. The mechanics, the Arrows mechanics, went to bed at 11 o'clock last night, and they started work again at 2:30 this morning. Oh, Fisichella!
That's a big accident from Fisichella. I think that's coming out of the bus stop. He obviously lost it and hit the end of the barrier. That's a very nasty accident. That'll bring out the safety car.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll bring out the... there's poor visibility there. I think he's hit the end of the pit wall.
Well, I do start to wonder whether they might not...
And we've just seen a Minardi come past without a rear wing, and this is the same thing that happened to Schumacher and Coulthard. Oh, that is a nasty accident. And now remember, Wirtz was like this in Monaco in a Benetton. Nothing he can do, no way. That's a horrible accident.
Yeah,
he brings his head over, and that just looks like a torpedo, doesn't it?
Well,
yeah, safety car's out, look.
You do have to wonder whether the race will go its full distance, as you see that enormous crash replayed. Let's see who's in the race now, because I suspect Nakano will be retiring as well. Hill is in the race, Schumacher is in the race, so is Alesi and Frentzen. Fisichella, who was 5th, is out, there's his car. Diniz is still running, that's 5 of them. So's Jarno Trulli, that's 6th. Nakano, I think, is out.
and Damon Hill, the race leader, when he went out. But ironically, it stopped raining now. I don't know if that's going to turn out to be a factor, but definitely it's brightening up quite a lot. I understand you're watching a replay of Fisichella at the moment. But interestingly, I've just been down to McLaren. I said, look, what is it all about? And they said, we told David Coulthard to get over to the right-hand side of the track. The defining moment for me of the 1998 championship, Coulthard went over to the right-hand side, and they just believe he slowed right down, get out of the way, and Schumacher hit him. No blame for David Coulthard, they say, and they're just trying to repair his car at the moment. They're actually going to try and get him back out again, but that remains to be seen.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, at the beginning of the race, no blame on Michael Schumacher if indeed he hit Hakkinen, which is a contentious subject at the moment. No blame on David Coulthard, and no blame to Nakano either, for that matter. It's so difficult to see. It's very, very, very dangerous.
I just hope we can get through this afternoon with 22 intact Grand Prix drivers, because when you watch, if we see another replay of that incident, you watch the front wheel that made contact with the Minardi of Fisichella's car. It could so easily have hit him on the head with all the suspension parts, which sadly is what happened to Ayrton Senna, I believe, back in '94. That was so lucky. And you can see them bringing in the digger there to lift the car out of the way. And now we're going to see a replay, I believe, of Coulthard. This is at Rivage. There's the left-hander before they head down the straight. We saw earlier Coulthard had already been looking in his mirrors to see where Schumacher was. I think look, he's got his hand in his ear saying, let me through, let me through. We saw the Ferrari team boss Jean Todt talking to McLaren, and just after that, Coulthard appeared to pull over and lift off. So we'll have to wait and see what the radio instructions were. But yeah, they weren't showing us the accident again. They showed us Schumacher with his hand in the air saying, let me through, let me through.
Well, we're on lap 30 now, which is 2/3 distance out of lap 44.
This is down the hill, look, here comes Schumacher. Coulthard's quite clearly lifting off for whatever reason. Schuey doesn't realise it. Schuey starts to pull out, look. No, actually he's heading back in again, and then bang, off goes the wheel.
And out goes Michael Schumacher. World Championship situation unchanged. They will go to the Italian Grand Prix at Monza in 2 weeks' time, still with 7 points between Hakkinen and Schumacher, with Hakkinen in the lead.
Some pretty interesting comments there.
Yeah, well, very dangerous conditions. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, the visibility was zero, as he said. But he likes those sort of conditions anyway. And, you know, when you're in Formula One, if you're not in a really totally competitive car, instead of looking at it in a very negative way, the guys in the cars that really aren't front runners in the dry should really think to themselves, right, here's my opportunity now to get up and perhaps show my driving skill in a car that's not up to theirs in the dry, but I can have a go in the wet. And you know, we saw Ayrton Senna do that at Monaco in the Tolman. You know, we've seen Panis, I think it was, at Monaco. But, you know, that's the ideal opportunity for a guy to show his skill in the wet like that.
Well, you mentioned Ayrton Senna, and we've talked about Prost, we've talked about Nigel Mansell, those moments when it was so volatile in Formula One. Let's have a look now at, of course, this is after the Ferrari's coming back into pit lane. Watch the way that he actually steers it into the garage, and this is an amazing sight. Unbelievable sight, and he's saying, put it straight in, no worries, I'll just park her on the three wheels. And then, of course, he gets out and just marches down pit lane, and that's a scene we haven't seen in Formula One since the days we've just highlighted. Watch this, out of the car, no doubt about where he's going.
Yeah, well, we talk about body language, there's a bit going on there.
Well, I mean, they're trying to pull a door down to stop him, and this guy tries to get in the way. That's a big shove there, get out of it, leave me alone. I mean, whoa.
I think he was probably being a bit over the top, to be honest. I really think it was just as much his fault as Coulthard's. I mean, OK, if Coulthard was going to slow down that severely, perhaps he could have put his arm out of the cockpit and signalled the fact that he was going to pull over. But in those conditions, it's debatable whether he would have seen it. David's probably thinking to himself, hey, Anne, what's all this about? I'd done the right thing. I slowed down, pulled over as far to the right as I could go, and he's charged up my backside. So yeah, Coulthard's probably feeling a bit hurt that he's doing that. Schumacher's probably thinking, well, why did the lunatic slow down so quickly in front of me?
Yeah, a couple of quite quick things, though. It's not the first time they've come together. And, I mean, the cynics are going to turn around and say, all right, Hakkinen's out, the championship now is up for grabs. One quick dab of the brakes. I mean, and I think Martin Brundle summed up when he said that there isn't a Formula One driver that would do that.
No way, because I tell you, I mean, Coulthard risks injuring himself. I mean, they weren't exactly at a hairpin. They weren't in a second or first gear. If it was a first gear hairpin, you know, you could debate about it, but that was still a reasonably quick corner. And, you know, that could have come... David could have come unstuck just as big time as what Schumacher did.
We're going to read a lot about it. We're going to see a lot about it. They'll talk about it for many years. We'll take a break, come back.